everybody, and welcome to today's edition of Beyond the Ordinary Show. This is going to be fun, informative, and it's going to introduce you to, oh God, such a grounded application that's really going to work to open up creativity, to release trauma, to really get into having a relationship with one of the greatest companions that you have on your healing journey. And that's the topic of today. It's called the brain is your greatest companion on your healing journey. You're going to find that exactly why. You're going to witness a process that's going to be done unto me as part of what's being offered in the special offer, but also what's available to really get past those things that we can't quite unhinge somehow. And I've been working with Devin Grace for quite a few years now, I think. Time is so strange, but the work that she's facilitated in my healing and I'll call it my awakening and my embodiment has been truly extraordinary. And that's why I want to have her on the show. Her work is freaking phenomenal and you're going to benefit from it. So sit back, relax, enjoy the call, and really take in what's being offered, because it truly is quite extraordinary and something that's really going to help you move into not only that next layer of consciousness, but the next layer of self-acceptance, of joy, of peace, of love, of stamina, of vitality. I mean, really, those are the roots healing aspects that come through when we learn how to have this relationship with our brain. So again, it's going to be a phenomenal call. To tell you a little bit more about Devin, Devin Grace is a practicing therapist and a healer consultant, and she's been a coach for over 20 years. Her work as a depth consultant has led her to travel to over 25 countries where she's seeking knowledge and skills from healers all over the world. Now, Devin has an advanced degree in business and psychology and a master's degree in transpersonal psychology. And her integrative approach to healing encompasses many different therapeutic modalities. She's regressed me, by the way. We've got to some epic places in that as well. And again, those modalities include traditional and non-traditional. And within those, the one form of therapy Devin has found to bring the most immediate and personal, permanent physical, spiritual, psychological, and emotional healing is what we're talking about today. It's brain spotting. Devin, I'm so excited to guide everybody through this and to bring them in awareness of this tool and this modality that's available to really provide such deep and profound healing. So welcome and thank you for being here.
Yes, thank you. So exciting to be here. It's interesting just sitting here, like I can feel you. I feel the attunement and the presence. I feel the presence of everyone else. It's just very sweet. Like I have a little bit of tears in my eyes and my heart just feels very open and I don't know, really appreciative, with you, John, and what you're doing and what you do to bring uh, information and healing methods and modalities to people all around the world. It's so important. It's so necessary. I was helping with a brain spotting training this past weekend, and we were on. There were a few people from Poland, and the training I was assisting before that, there was someone from the Ukraine, and just really recognizing just like how much healing is necessary, and we don't even know when the next trauma is going to happen, and to have a toolbox, right, full of methods and tools that we can do our own self-help, because not everybody can afford you know therapy. Not everybody can afford what could really assist them in living, I'd say, a more um, not present life, but available to life, right? Because with trauma, it's very hard to be available. it's so difficult for any of us when we're in trauma brain to be available to the day to day, to kind of feel the breeze, to enjoy the sunshine. You know, we're just in kind of fight, flight, just managing, surviving. So I'm, I've had my business for over 25 years, and my goal now is to really help people be as self-sufficient as possible. It's so much my goal, and to help as many people get there as I can. So I study everything I possibly can to pass it on. So right now I just got certified as a brain health practitioner with the Amen Clinic, which is they're the leading brain scientists, and they do all the SPECT imaging. So I studied the brain for uh, months getting that certification. And now I'm at the dissertation stage of my doctorate, where I'm looking at brain spotting as a modality for self-healing and self-help, which is
Wow.
so exciting because I use it all the time. I use it all the time. And not only that, so that's the You Healing You course that and workshop that I'm teaching, but I'm also teaching Friends Healing Friends, and where friends can be that attunement with each other and help that healing process just with these, with different tools. So I'm really excited because we're gonna try a few of those things today, and yeah, yeah, it's great.
There's so much coming in, and again, I love you're wanting to help other people in that way, because it's why I started the show. I wanted everybody to have the tools that I had, because my life has shifted so dramatically. It's like, how can people not know about this? And as I continue to learn, expand, and learn of different modalities that improve on the technology, and I say this in quotes for any of you all who are listening, um, and that make it faster and easier and more graceful, and put us in that state of receptivity into what's possible, instead of a mechanism that's having us go back to safety patterns or patterns of survival that really aren't necessary in the way that they used to be.
And the
Um,
brain, I mean, the brain is has frozen those memories and those traumas. They're frozen, and I swear, I swear, this You Healing You, what what we're able to do just with ourselves can unlock those permanently, and unfreeze them, and not have them stored in the brain and the body anymore, especially in the body as well, right? Because the brain and the body are working together all the time. um, so brain spotting, along with parts work, and the bilateral, working with bilateral, all of that is going to help unlock these. And what's amazing about it is I have clients who, who's most of the, I'd say 99% of the time, it's the husband that doesn't want to, do any work on himself because he doesn't want to talk. And what I love about this process is that you don't ever have to say a word if you
mm,
don't want to. Your brain will do all the work. You can have huge emotions, watch this whole roller coaster, and then watch the relief in that person's face. And on a scale of 0 to 10, at the beginning, they might have been at a 9 in their emotion. And then by the end of their process, without saying one word, they can
mm.
be at a 0, and then report back to me saying, it's gone, it's gone. How is it gone? And there's some that unfreeze, and there's more capsules that were created because of the level of the trauma. So it might take, but that's why You Healing You, you can do this on your own. You can do this on your own. And attunement is so important. That's therapeutic attunement, of course. But so many of us are so self attuned that we can hold that space for ourselves.
Yeah.
where we have that level of self attunement, where we're safe. And what I'll also teach is ways that if you suddenly feel like, oh my God, I've gone too far, I almost feel like I'm disassociating it and I'm by myself, where we can go to a resource spot where you make that gentle, compassionate choice to pull out of the depth for the moment, in that memory and where your brain is at that point, and then move it to a resource point, and then you can go back and forth, and and soften that blow, because there's some memories that might come up that you didn't even know were there. So
Yeah. I'd love it if you can talk a little bit about current events that have been happening. And I'm sorry to redirect, but I feel so compelled because there's an association with why different people are being impacted again through COVID, through the war in the Ukraine, and how that's actually stimulating stored trauma
for sure.
and what that's doing in our system as well. And so it again, so many people, so many of y'all listen to the show, you're aware that there's this healing going on and things that um, are being unpacked, and like feeling you're walking in molasses sometimes and not knowing how to get through. And this is an aspect of trauma that's trying to resolve through our psyche, but the mechanisms aren't there to get to the other side. So I'd love it if you give us a little bit of a education into where trauma is stored, why trauma can cause more trauma, and again, get into the attunement process and how the work that you are providing facilitates really a passageway through this into another form of relationship where that trauma doesn't have to exist within us.
Yeah. Well, while you were talking, for some reason this also popped up, right? So if we look at even past lives, or uh, ancestral, right? DNA, genetics. That's all brain storage stuff as well, right?
Mm,
So what I'm noticing is that when something like a pandemic, where you're forced into isolation, you forced isolation, that's going to trigger traumas, because so many people who had abusive childhoods would be forced into isolation, right?
mm,
So a pandemic, war, you're forced into isolation. You're pulled away from what's comfortable, right? You're pulled away from what's safe. And abuse, you're pulled away from what's safe immediately. Like, you don't know where your calm is. You don't know where, and you might not even know what safe is anymore.
mm,
Um, so I can assure you 100%, your brain has places, your body has places that are calm, that are resources, that are capable of, no matter what trauma you've suffered, of giving you a sense of calm, right? So that would be a resource point, which we'll get to when we work together in a little bit. Um, and so wars, pandemics, anything people, we could, your brain is storing it in the same place as you would that I feel embarrassed because I'm overweight. That it's storing in basically in the same places in your brain, right? Or I'm devastated that my dog died, or I'm devastated that a friendship ended. These are very real traumas to the brain and the heart and the psyche. Um, Back to the ancestral, there are points where I'm watching, if I guide someone to a point where their eyes are looking, where they'll go into ancestral. They'll start to see their mother, their grandmother, have a sense of what their great grandmother were going through. Like I did that, and it was famine in Ireland, Now, do I ever think of that? No. Maybe when I listen to like an Irish song and they always sing about the famine as the tears are rolling down my face, but that's right. So it's not, I'm not going into a self-healing session thinking about famine. But sure enough, my brain is. My
Yeah.
brain is like, that's connected to this, connected to this, connected to this, connected to this, connected what to what you started your own self-healing session on, which might have been, um, I feel stressed because I'm not getting this paper in on time or whatever. But it literally could lead me to an experience of famine and loss of control and stuff. And then to watch that process and to watch the brain process through that and have the emotions and the somatic in the body, it's just, it's mind blowing. David Grand is a master. He is the developer of brain spotting, which is the You Healing You, uses a lot of brain spotting techniques. And then again, as I said, parts work and bilateral work and touch point work. Um, but yeah, so if anybody wants to read, more about brain spotting, brain spotting that's just something that David Grand, he does amazing work on brain spotting, and just he's a scientist, he's a psychologist, and um, I just want to give a shout out to him, and so much gratitude for putting this out there for all of us to heal from.
Yeah, gratitude from me as well. Because again, I've shifted from sessions. I remember the first session you took me through, I just welled up when we got to that spot. And you guys will get to
Yeah,
we'll get
I
to
think you'll probably do that again today. But I did want to share, there's two things I want to share with you.
Mm,
So I was with the war going on. I would see pictures and I was just feeling myself getting re-traumatized. And I also often get re-traumatized. Like I just have a very a trauma trigger with when dogs are being abused, or or where I just can't help. I know I can't help. So I started saying the Serenity Prayer, and then one day I was like, mm, I can't accept this shit. I can't accept it.
mm,
I can't. Right. So the Serenity is prayer, accept the things you cannot change. And I'm like, I can't. I have to have an action. So then I thought about it, and I thought love is an action. So I rewrote the Serenity Prayer, and I want to read that so that people can use this. And I use this all the time now. So it's, God, grant me the serenity to love with all my heart the things I cannot change, the courage to love with all my heart the things that I can, and the wisdom to know that to love with all my heart will always make a difference.
mm. That's
So
beautiful.
when I see those pictures from the war, I immediately, if it's too hard for me to love with all my heart, I ask the presence of love, the presence of God, or however, spirit, to love it for me, and to just put the love there. Because it's for me, it's impossible to accept certain things, some things. So, but I can love them with all my heart, and it's really made a difference for me.
That's beautiful. And it even took me when you were talking about that. And I even thought about the re-traumatization that happens when I have a reaction to people's stories sharing where they've been abused and having judgment against the perpetrator or the perpetrating event and
Yes.
just getting riled up. And a lot of it relates to my childhood and the way that I grew up.
Brilliant.
It's like, and that's, I think it feels like a heroic act to get angry or riled up or to take charge. But really, it's the trauma that's rising that is causing that stimulus, is it not?
Yes, and that's called counter transference, right? So
Oh,
that's, yeah, for trauma counter transference. Um, very common, very common for therapists and common for healers to have that. But yes, I love that.
yeah.
This is like a prayer for
Mm.
for counter transference, basically.
Oh, that's beautiful. It's for so many things, but again, to shift in that energy, that's wonderful. as you've worked in brain spotting and as you have felt yourself shifting as well of your clients, what have you noticed personally for you has has changed, or what is there more peace? Is there more openness? Is that what within you who are so well versed in so many different healing modalities? How have you benefited from this particular, I'll say, amalgamation of techniques, because you take brain spotting and you add your flavor of Devin to it,
Mhm,
uh, which is remarkable.
mhm. Oh, wow. Um, I've done, I will honestly, if I'm triggered by anything, I will make the note in my mind like, okay, take some time to sit and do the you healing you stuff. Just do it. Like, almost like I don't have a choice now, because um it's like my brain is like a child that's begging for help. That's the way I look at it. So it could be anything, right? Where I first got introduced to it is my mom. I think it was right before your mom passed away, John, uh, passed away suddenly, right? And I just, I was like, I don't even know what to do with this. So I called one of my dearest friends who I went to graduate school with, and I said, "Can you help me process this?" And she said, "Have you tried this?" And so we did it, and I did such a deep process with that. And I was like, what is this? And then immediately studied it. And now I'm doing my dissertation in it for my PhD.
Wow.
Yeah, it's crazy. Um, so so that it helped me release that trauma. I am at such peace.
Mm,
Do I still have moments of grieving and mourning my mom and the loss? For sure, of course. But that's just natural. But I can tell the difference. It's not stuck in my brain.
yeah.
It's not stuck in me. It's a natural just response, and then it flows, and then, like, then I'm on to the next thing, honestly. But I'll so with the you healing you, there's worksheets that we'll go through before we even do the workshop. John, I had sent you some worksheets to look at your brain and to look at what areas of your brain that might be like overflowing with information or maybe stimulated. Did you get um ideas of what you might want to work on, or like, oh, I didn't even really think of this? It's kind of like it's like we want to activate the things. We don't want to hide them. We want to activate them in order to bring them up for healing.
Mm. No, I did. There's certain things that there was a couple of things that stood out, it like really stood out. It's like, oh, okay. And you and I have talked about this in the past, body issues. And it comes with also, I think, with expectations that we grow up with children of having, of being the golden child and what that means and other things. But the part in the questionnaire that started to get into over exercising or restricting diet and things like that, it's like that scored higher comparatively speaking to everything else that was ones and zeros. And then there was another section, I forgot what it was, that scored a little bit higher also. And it brought in an awareness like, oh, okay, yeah, that's definitely something that wants in it, that I can attune into and have a different type of relationship with. So that was wonderful, just feeling that. And I'm sure I'll get your assessment and you'll like roll it all out and have it
Oh,
blossom.
I'm so excited.
Yeah.
Um, so just as we're talking about that, where do you feel that in your body? Like when you think about those questions, where do you feel that?
Oh, I feel it in my chest. I feel a tightness and a shortness of breath come up for sure. I can even sense my languaging, my speaking speed up a little bit. Yeah.
How would you feel about starting a session right now?
Let's do a session. Before we start a session, y'all, part of the special offer is a session with Devin. And of course, the self-practice and going deeper into the workshop. That's something else we'll get into in a little bit. But if you want to start a session, let's go. Yeah,
Yeah, let's.
absolutely.
Okay. Cool. Why don't you put in the music that I sent you, the bilateral sounds?
All right, y'all. So I'm going to be the guinea pig today, and I get to benefit so much from this, and it's so beautiful. And the timing, and I'll tell you why in a little bit, is so perfect for this. So thank you.
Oh, I'm so excited.
And I'm excited for y'all to get to witness this and know that this is available as well. That's why we're doing this. And I didn't want to put anybody else in the vulnerable position where they may feel like they get uncomfortable being in public with it. That's why I didn't call some of y'all from the audience in this, but you're going to get so much just from me going through this without a doubt. So,
Yeah.
all right, I'm in. Should I start it?
Yep. Start it. And you can keep it at a very low volume.
Got it.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Great. So I want you to just feel that and kind of think about answering those questions.
Mm.
Okay. And I want you to notice that your eye is looking down to the left.
Mm-hmm.
So keep looking that way. If it's going down to the left, just keep looking where it's looking. Yeah, right
Mm-hmm.
there is where when you first started talking about it. Okay. So where are you feeling it in your body right now?
I'm feeling it more along my rib cage on my left hand side and in my shoulder and arm.
Okay.
And some constriction around, again, around my chest and around my throat and neck, again on the left hand side.
If you kind of had to put some words to it, like the what you wanted to work on, what are some of the words? Like what is this part of you, the pain in the body? What are the words it would say? Or the sensation in the body, not the pain.
You don't measure up. You're not good enough. Other people are better. Um, what comes up also is don't be a disappointment. Don't disappoint based on the expectations and how you're supposed to be. It's yeah, if you don't have your looks, then you really don't have anything else to offer. A fear of getting older and of not knowing how I can provide value and being wanted or desired by someone else or by other people. Yeah.
Mm.
And on a deeper level, it's like you will never find love unless you look a certain way. Hmm.
So that part, you'll never find love unless you look a certain way. How old would you say that part is that's saying that? That's saying those words? Like if it were outside of you, how old would you say that part is?
Oh, interesting. As early as 3 or 4. I wouldn't have thought that, but yeah.
Can you sense that part outside the door right now? Can you hear that part moving around at all?
I'm not sure what that means.
We're going to invite that part in if it's okay with you and if it's okay with that part. And I want to know if you can kind of sense them right outside of the door.
Yeah, I can.
Great. So, can we invite him in?
Yes.
Would he like to come in?
Yes. He's been waiting.
Oh, lovely. Okay. So, where is he in the room right now, now that he's come in?
He's standing behind me to the left, over close to the door.
Great. I want you to turn your body a bit and look at him. Tell me if you can see him. Get comfortable if you need to turn your chair a little bit.
Yes.
Great. What is he wearing?
He's wearing white shorts, like a button-up Western shirt, and this little red cowboy hat he used to wear.
What does he remember?
He remembers getting attention when he was looking cute, when he was looking a particular way. He remembers that, yeah, whenever he lit up a certain way or whenever he was kind of cute in a certain way, that he would get good attention from mom and dad.
Is he okay being here in the room with us and with you?
Yeah, he likes being here.
Great. What did he need that he didn't get?
Attention, like healthy attention. He needed presence. He needed to feel safe.
What does he need right now?
He said he needed to play more, that there wasn't enough chance to play because there was a lot of responsibility. He felt like he had to take care and to make others and to make his mom and dad feel better so that they wouldn't fight again. If he could make them feel better, then they wouldn't fight. Maybe.
How did he try to make them feel better? It sounds like he has a whole list of things he tried.
By making them laugh, by being cute, by distracting them, by making them forget that they were mad at each other, by being silly, by basically by trying to show them how there's wherever whichever way he could to try to show them that there was something other than fighting with each other, to distract them from that, whatever it took.
So, John, I want you to get comfortable in your chair looking at him. Like, I feel like your body's not that comfortable. So, I want you to get
Yep.
really comfortable. Yeah. Yeah. Great. What would have been his greatest experience as that boy? What would a great experience what would have that looked like for him in his life?
To not be afraid. Yeah, that's what you see. He's saying that to not be afraid would be a great experience.
Okay. Would it be okay if he sat on your lap, came over here and sat on your lap? Would he like that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so I want you to come, I want him to sit on your lap and I want you to face back towards the screen.
Okay.
So with his eyes, I want you to look over to the right and up a little bit and just see. I want you to tune into the greatest experience for him of feeling safe. Like, really feel that in your body. Does it feel more heightened over to the right? Now look towards the middle and up a little bit. Towards the middle, and now looks towards the left. Where does it feel like it could reach infinity? that feeling of safety.
Add to the middle.
Great. So stay there and really let both of you feel that. And it's okay if it shifts into like a memory or something, but just both of you staying on that point together. And if you want to talk about anything, if something else is coming up or a memory or anything, you can do that too.
Hmm. Now I see him on this like little roller coaster that we used to go on in Rockaway Beach or whatever in New York, and just the joy, just the freedom of the joy of just being in the moment and the excitement of it. And it's like he's showing me that scene, just that relaxing and joy and playfulness. And yeah.
What's happening now?
I'm just kind of breathing into this space and tuning into it. I feel myself welling up. Um,
Mhm.
and I feel like an energy running through my chest that's a little bit faster than it was before. Or I'm noticing the energy running through my chest, whether I noticed it before or not. And then there's a part of my brain also my memories is like, but I want to look young. I want to look vital. There's nothing wrong with that. Um, I like staying in shape. Um,
So let's do this. So it sounds like there's a part that's saying you shouldn't want that. Is that right? Or is criticizing that somehow? Or self-critical about that?
or that's thinking that part of it is coming from a place that's traumatic and not healed, and that I'm not, that there would indicate that there's some type of escapism with it, or some type of trying to be something for the sake of something else.
Okay. And that for part of you that could have been true, right?
Sure, absolutely.
Right? So let's hold the space for both those parts.
Mm.
So I want you to, where you're looking now, would you say that that's now kind of a spot where it's like, um, but I want these things, instead of, oh my God, this feels great? Because I want you to now find a spot where you can look back at me for a moment.
Mm.
So now we're going to go into the space of, oh yeah, this is how I want to look. This is how I want to feel. This is how I want to be in the world.
Mm.
Start to feel it.
Yeah,
Zero to infinity. How far are you embodying that?
it's, how do I answer that? Zero to- closer to
some,
infinity than
some
a zero.
people say 500, some people say 500 million, some people say, I don't know how many numbers are in infinity, but
Right.
it could be pretty high. Let me know when it's pretty high. Just that, yep, this is what I want. I see myself. I see it. I see.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Great. So
Yeah.
find a point now. Look over to the right. I want that to get heightened, like really high, so almost where you're bursting out of your body in that experience of like, yeah, that health, that vibrance.
Hmm.
Are you there on that? Is that your point?
Oh yeah, I can see it.
Great. Now I want you to go back to that other point. What happens there?
It calms down. It's like it soothes somehow. The some of the exhilaration that I was feeling from the other point. So it's it feels more neutral, but it also feels like it flows really beautifully.
Okay. Go back to that other point now.
Oh, excuse me, but that's a fuck yeah on that point. It's like, oh yeah. Mm.
Let that feel it.
Yeah, it's not only I know that point and yes, that point, but I know how to get there. And I can and I will. So it's the will coming up again in it as well. It's beautiful.
Okay, go back to the other point.
It feels like that other point's a little more amplified in the positive aspect of it right now. And it feels like there's a surge of energy that's coming through for it to support the other points.
Okay, go back to the other point now.
It feels like that is becoming more embodied. So it's not as heightened outside of me. I feel like it's more running through me than it was before.
So it's integrating, would you say?
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great way of putting it. Yes.
Okay. Now come back to the other point.
Yeah, there's a peacefulness to this point as I keep coming back to it.
Go back to the other point.
It's funny, I was in the other point, I got into the judgment of fear of what other people think when they think is a standard and like judgment around why they would think I would want this or maintain this way and or other things. It's old stuff for sure.
How's that point now that you're on?
It's a lot of energy running through. It's strong.
Good. Come back to this other point and let's process on that point and just see what that next thing was wanting to come up.
It's a judgment thing and it comes from a very young age. Of who do you think you are? Things come so easily for you. Um, oh, of course, it's because you're this that you get this, and it's so much harder for me and so much easier for you. And so there's, well, if I am that vital, if I am this, and if I am that, then others won't like me. Oh, they'll judge me, or again, I'll be misunderstood, or
Alone,
alone. Alone's a good one. Yeah, abandoned, alone, betrayed.
rejected.
rejected. If things come so easily for me and not for someone else, then they don't want to be with me. It's too much comparison. It's too much whatever.
What's the grief that's coming up? I'm sensing a grief.
Yeah, it's a love being taken away or rejected from me because I'm just being myself. Like, oh, if I'm myself, then I'm not lovable. I have to be something for someone else so they can feel good about themselves so that I can be lovable. It's like, all right, let me give a part of myself up, or let me pretend to be something else, or let me not try to be what I can be so that they'll love me. Let me make myself more relatable to them or suffer with them so that I can receive love. Yeah, that one's painful.
What if you were to teach them that no, that's not the way it is? What if you were to teach them right now? What would you say?
Hmm. Let me show you what's available. It's like, I know, let me show you what's available. Just try. Just try for a second and feel the freedom, or feel yourself stepping into where you've held yourself back for something else. And it's just time to let that go if you allow it. Let me show you what's possible. Let me hold you in my world and see how it feels. Maybe I can provide you the peace and the comfort if you just let me hold you for just a minute.
It's kind of like I know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. Yeah, this isn't coming from a place of vanity or a place of control. It's actually coming from a place of love. Let me show you what love is. Let me demonstrate it to you.
If there were a person there that you were talking to, who would it be?
It's my brother.
So keep talking
Hmm.
if you want to.
Hmm. I know you feel you have to be strong, and I know you feel like you've lost opportunities. And I know you feel abandoned and like somehow I took your place. But I didn't take your place. I learn from you, I grow from you, but you don't have to keep suffering. You don't have to keep protecting me. You don't have to keep being the fighter. You can actually let your guards down. And it's safe. And you're not alone. And there's another way. Let me show you. It's the biggest gift I can give to you. And it's one that I want to give to my brother because I love you. I can feel my head tingling. And then I get into mom and anger with mom
Go
because of
ahead.
the way she objectified us when we were younger.
Okay. Can you see her there? Can you talk to her? Can
Oh,
you
yeah.
can you lecture and teach her right now? Because it sounds like she needs some teaching right now.
Yeah, it's inappropriate to create those expectations from any of your children. It's like, how dare you? How could you put us in a place that we're constantly comparing ourselves to others? Who's the most handsome? Who's the most pretty? Which one looks better in this? Which one? It's like, it's all for your own gratification. It's your expression for love for yourself so you can be proud of something that you really didn't have anything to do with. We're just born this way. So how dare you treat my brother and I in that way and encourage the separation and cause all this confusion in me growing up for most of my life. It's not fair for any child to have to go through that. It wasn't fair for me to have to go through that. You let me linger in it, and you let my brother linger in it in different ways. Body image, looks, all for the sake of having other people accept you through your sons. Yeah, that was fucked up.
Why don't you tell her what she needs to do instead?
Hmm. You
Here's
need
what I need from you.
what I need from you is presence and freedom and encouragement of my own gifts rather than something that you see in other people that I have to attain or that you have to attain. Um, I needed you to be aware of my sensitivity and of my brother's needs as well. He and I try to fill each other's needs blindly, and we needed an adult to navigate us through that. We needed you to be the adults, not the child, and we felt like you were the child most of the time.
Yeah, so I need you to grow up
I need you to grow up. Yeah.
and heal yourself.
And heal yourself, not through us, but through yourself.
Anybody else there who needs a little bit talking to?
My father for being so ignorant, but not really. It's
Yeah.
just,
That's kind of a waste of time.
it really is. Yeah. No, nobody else. Perhaps my ex-wife for making it such a big deal about body image and looks and comparison, and what she was proud about me was more about that than who I was as a person
Okay,
or
what about
or
if
what I
you
did.
lecture? I think it's time to teach her and lecture her.
Yeah, it's like my values seemed provided in the way that you showed me to your friends and family as me being what was most valuable to you about looks and body image, and um, it was ridiculous because I didn't see myself in the way that you saw me. It was confusing, and I could never live up to it because I never saw myself that way. And then passing that on to our daughters, not cool. So you needed to grow up and you need to figure out the basis of why you were having relationships with me. And I'm glad we're not together anymore. But it's also time that you grow up as well. It's like that's not going to continue to our grandchildren. Um, and our daughters have to heal around that as well in different ways. Thank goodness, not as much as I've needed to. At least I don't think so. But yeah, it's time you grow up also and really figure out, if you want to be free, where true value comes from, rather than this fleeting thing that you're defining so many people by.
I keep on hearing you screaming the word enough, and
Mm.
just like clearly enough. Does that feel true at all?
Yeah, I took a deep inhale and exhale with that. Yeah.
Enough,
Enough.
enough.
Enough. It stops here. Mm-hmm.
How about going back to that other point right now?
It feels like I can breathe more deeply in that point right now. And like a release of the emotions that we were just in, or like attuning through my body rather than sitting in my chest or in a shortness of breath.
Yeah, the last time you were on that point, you were saying it was integrating.
Mm.
And we know something's integrating when we can breathe
Yeah, yeah,
while
definitely.
while being with it, right? Because
But my breath is much more relaxed and much deeper than it was before.
John, I'd like you to close your eyes now,
Mm.
and I want you to ask that little boy with the red hat on if he'd like to go back to where he was or stay in the room somewhere and play or stay on your lap, if that's okay with you, if you guys can kind of decide what's best for both of you.
He'll stay on my lap.
Is there anything else you feel that needs to be said or
Mm.
heard? Okay,
No, I don't think so.
okay. Cool.
Wow. So interesting. So interesting.
Yeah, it's interesting. I didn't plan on doing any of the parts work with you, but I just felt like he was right there
Mm.
wanting to come in. So,
Yeah, I feel a little high off of this, or actually a lot high. Yeah.
yeah, that's your brain doing what it does.
Wow. And again, my brain tingling when I was in it, I can feel like something, the tingly feeling is like the
I know.
the chemistry just shifting.
I know.
Wow.
I'm not lying.
Wow. So what's the integration with this, Devin?
Ask, say more about that.
So I would say we completed a brain spotting session.
Hmm.
Now what? As someone goes through this, what's it's just being with it.
Well, John, you're very somatic. So I know for you and a lot of my clients, they'll like to like get up and move a little bit and stretch a little bit and maybe take a walk or even lie down and listen to some music or pet their animals or, so that's that part of it. But the brain is going, the brain has just done a ton of work and it's going to just continue to relax that area, right? And make that area available now to the rest of your beingness because
Right.
it's no longer frozen, right? So it's just this is basically freeing up brain space, which
Amazing.
is freeing up living space. So there's nothing you need to do, right? It's just uh there's literally nothing you need to do. It's not like be available to see what changes. No, nothing. There's
Mm,
nothing you need to do. There's nothing your brain needs to do. This was
amazing. Well, Devin, let's get into the special offer because there is the opportunity to work with you to do a one-on-one session, which is remarkable. And the workshop is just
I'm gonna drink a little
that
water.
that whole workshop thing that's a whole nother level of self-healing, like you said earlier, but they can keep going back to over and over again. So
So
April, if you would put the link in the chat box for the special offer, um, make sure she puts it up there. April, hello.
April. April's so awesome.
April, check that. I'll find the link and put it up.
She's
Um,
fantastic. So with the You Healing You workshop, it will be 10 people and there's a few different dates that you can choose from. And during it, we'll be doing a session and I'll put everybody into their breakout rooms. And then I'll come into each breakout room as you're doing your own You Healing You session. And I'm going to come and I'm going to be with you a little bit and work with each person as they're in their own session. We'll go through everything way before we go into the sessions, but yeah, it's going to be very exciting. Um,
so the
yeah,
workshop is 10 people per group.
that's right. Yeah,
Okay.
it's 3 hours.
Wow.
Uh-huh. Yeah, it's it's going to be very beautiful. They're very beautiful because it's what's amazing about working in a workshop is that there's all this attunement, right? We all have this attunement towards each other. And then when you're working on yourself, you're recognizing all this self-attunement, like what you just did right there.
Mm.
I was attuned to you, and so we're all of the listeners, right? Everybody who's here, we're all being attuned with each other and attuning to you. I'm sure you felt it.
Oh yeah.
So what we'll do is we'll find someone or something in the You Healing You workshop that brings that same sense of attunement,
Mm.
or a similar sense of attunement. It could just even be your higher self. It could be a part of yourself that kind of just is there in the room. It could be, a therapist you once have, a therapist you have now, a spirit guide, a healer, and we'll do some exercises to really strengthen that essence in the room. Yeah, it's powerful. And again, my goal my goal is that people will have this
Mm.
whenever and wherever they need it. I was in a class. I you know how I study a lot of improv, and uh, I've done a lot of that work. So I was taking a scene study class because I also like to develop characters in my improv work for acting. And oh my God, this class, the teacher was just had his own woundedness that was coming out. And of course, like I'm able to recognize it a billion miles away. So I literally tuned him out and did a brain spotting class, a brain spotting session on myself around, um, oh, stage fright.
Mm.
I was just like, oh, this is bringing up stage fright. So literally in the room, I like put my hair a little bit down here so he wouldn't notice. But then I got a brain I just started processing. I even had all my bilateral sounds and stuff.
Oh,
So
wow.
I do it on planes all the time. I'll put on my sunglasses and I'll find the spot. So, like, I'm just so excited. I just really want people to have this.
I feel different. I feel different than when I felt earlier when I got on the call. It's really remarkable.
I know, it's
To keep
crazy.
going through. Y'all read through the special offer. I know we're highlighting a couple things, but this really explains it really well. And I'm going to share just part of it. It's again, Devin's writing on here that any and all versions of trauma and mental health are welcome. Seriously. So there's no limit what it can repair in your brain. If it's depression, anger, jealousy, disordered eating, hyperactivity, etc., it's all, whether it's come in early or if it's been an issue your entire lifetime. Um,
What we like to see this as is, it's a neurobiological approach that has psychological and emotional that creates psychological and emotional
mm,
changes, really permanent. I've seen just so many permanent changes in myself and others, and like yeah, I'm so
amazing.
excited.
As someone's going through the process, do they have to share in a similar manner that I do, or can they keep it to themselves if they're a little more?
100%. I mean, if you're like, if you're in the You Healing You workshop, someone may want to, we might do a sample session like this and they may want to talk and stuff, but you don't ever need to say a thing because You Healing You, you're going to be by yourself and you're going to just like have this process going on. The brain loves also, the brain
Mm,
loves the experience of just like the process going, 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 going. And then the brain at some points wants to talk about it. I always have a notebook when I'm doing my own You Healing You like methods. I always have a notebook there so that
amazing.
if my brain does want to say something, but there's no one there to listen, I'll write the note, but I won't look at it. I'll stay on the spot and I'll just be writing away. Of course, I can't always read it. It's not that legible, but I can read it fine enough if I look at it, and so, just to give the brain the comfort that it has that
Mm.
there. But there's other techniques like putting metal against certain parts of the body when you're starting to feel that. We'll do that in the class. It's yeah, it's
Well, and I think you're answering. Rick wrote in, and he says he's got several questions. He says he's very highly sensitive, and he's had problems in the past with different energy type of therapies being too strong or intense for him. Um, so that's
mhm.
one issue that he has.
Okay.
And he's also saying
So
he's very sensitive to binaural beats or
yep, and you don't
therapy.
have to use the binaural, right? So his brain, like his brain is letting him know what's going on with it by these certain reactions to certain things, right?
Mm,
Um, so I usually when someone has a sensitivity in that way, we'd go to a resource spot, which is where the brain kind of feels like calm and lets the process happen from there.
mm.
um, and you still may get very activated, but it's not necessarily the case, but you very well could get very activated.
Amazing, amazing. Rick, thank you for writing in. And if it gets activated, there's a way through. You don't get stuck in it.
Right, there's a resource spot. Yep,
Right.
there's resource spots where your brain can go to, and where you were, right? So I had you on one spot, and then that's what also what I would teach. We would go back from spot to spot where you were. Sorry, our dog walker just came in.
No worries, yeah.
I'm usually the full-time dog walker, but I get a break once in a while. Our very good friend dog walker. Um, so yeah, there's you'll be taught that as well for sure, to have the places where you can uh if you feel like you're dissociating or something, where you can, bring yourself back.
Again, it's a great tool that you can keep using for life. So y'all, there's two offers in the special offer. So the You Healing You, the 3-hour intensive in group of tens, where you're guided to learn this, and then you can keep repeating it and keep using it as a tool. That's $197. There's a 2 payment option on that. And then to have Devin guide you on one in a one-on-one session, it's an hour-long brain spotting session. That's $297, and you're charging way more than double for that. So this is amazing. To get Devin at this price is it's not what I paid when I first started working with Devin, and I'm happy I paid what I paid, and I would have paid more knowing the results now. But this is a very special opportunity to that's offered here on BTO for you guys. And again,
It's
sharing
why it,
that
it's why
yeah.
it's why I want to do the you workshops, because I yeah, I really know that most people can use this, and it will be so efficient and
Mhm.
so effective. And I just, and I really think that a lot of people who are watching right now are, you know, into their own methods of self-help. And this is just, it's going to bring all these different pieces together, and just like there is nothing like what this does. Nothing like it from what I've experienced so far. And
Amazing.
I've been doing this kind of work and studying, studying so much. And now the brain, I am just cracking out on the brain and its work, the neurobiological assistance to the psychological and emotional self. I mean, look at what we just did,
Yeah.
and it was from where your eye positions were going. I mean, that's
Well,
directly into the brain and the trauma.
and working with you, it's again, it's brain spotting on steroids, I'll call it. And I'll share about you. Devin is extremely in touch, intuitive, and psychic, and can see into different aspects of places that are looking for the light to come in. We'll call it that. Um, and and can guide you to your awareness of yourself, which is empowering. It's not her telling you, but you recognizing, having the somatic experience of the knowing, embodying it directly in a session, and transmuting what's available for you at that time. It's powerful. So it's, again, it's brain spotting with someone who understands the spiritual and embodies the spiritual components of transformation as well. So it's not just clinical in the aspect, it really embodies and attunes to a holistic approach of healing that we have available now. So again, it's extremely powerful.
Right. I'd say all that other stuff I did in my depth consulting practice, which included past life, everything, the psychic and the intuitive, that with the brain on top of it and all this brain knowledge now, it's just like, oh my God, the combination is just, I'm so grateful.
Devin, in the work, again, the healing session with Devin, the one-on-one's 297. And in the group sessions, you're also including a pre-workshop and a post-workshop. What are those?
Oh, yeah. So the pre that is just going to be questionnaires, and it's not a pre-workshop. So it's just post, where we'll have a 30-minute check-in, the group, and
Okay.
see how their you healing you is working for them, and just if they want to share stuff, and just kind of start a little community. And then those people can become friends healing friends. They can actually get in touch with each other and say, hey, you want to do this together? because they both have the skills, they both can trust each other, that they've been kind of trained in this, so that there's also like an understanding of it. And the confidentiality and the attunement just goes with that.
Mhm.
So it's kind of like you kind of get a group of friends. You also earn a group of healing friends, that you can reach out to.
My little boy is sitting here, he's in my lap going, yeah, this works. Yeah, this works. It's like, yeah, I feel heard. It's really beautiful.
Oh my
The
God. And you
yeah.
watching you work, I'm sure I saw, right. I didn't read one thing that was coming through, but I'm sure you were getting like, oh my God, John, like the watching you work is just it's so
Mm,
generous and so vulnerable and so available. I mean, it's true. Like we all get to heal through your healing.
thank you.
I, it is just mind blowing, your vulnerability and your
Well,
availability.
and I've gotten to a point where there's no reason to hide any of this.
Oh,
So the guilt, the shame, the judgment, or whatever, it doesn't serve any of us. And you've helped me. I think one of our brain spotting sessions before, and I forget what it was because it's no longer an issue. I think it was some of the release of shame and guilt, and it's it's become less and less from those sessions. And how can we not share openly? How can we restrict ourselves and imprison ourselves because of some program fear that just doesn't make sense? Um,
yeah.
it may make sense in the safety in our body and to our the way we've built the pathways around holding that safety, but it's there's yeah, again, I find the openness is what really brings the freedom. And so I'm going to say yes to that as much as I can.
I
Uh,
know, but it's so
again,
generous, and to do it in front of everyone else,
uh,
and I know you trust yourself,
yeah.
hold the space for yourself, and you trust all of us who are, witnessing. I know you've built incredible relationships.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's amazing. Yeah, absolutely. Again, it's a beautiful process, Devin. Um,
Yeah,
and
it
it,
leads to so much openness, and I mean, it just like successes and creativity and
it sparked creativity in you, right? You talked about that before we got on. It's like you have new levels of, and you're writing your
oh
dissertation and everything. It's remarkable what you're putting
yeah,
together.
yeah. In fact, I was telling you before that I wrote this poem. Can I share it with you right now? It's
Yeah,
this.
I'd love for you to share the poem, and then I think we can end with the prayer one more time and just leave everybody
Okay.
inspiration. So y'all, again, the link for the special offer, do a session with Devin, or get into the group and learn this, have
Yeah,
it
let's
for
do it
you as you
together.
keep coming back to, and take advantage of it. So again, the links in the
The-
chat box.
and this was so interesting, because you were talking about your brother, and this is entitled "Sitting by My Brother."
Oh, I love it.
So it's just because of all the images we're seeing about
Mm,
the war and just all of those innocent people, so here how it goes, and all the innocent people on the Russian side too. Many of those soldiers don't want to be fighting, and the Ukrainians don't want to. It's never in our hearts to want to be at war. So
mm,
um, this literally just popped in. I saw these two. I saw these two men
wow.
sitting by my brother. We talked about the war, our fatigue still stained with blood, our weapons on the floor. We came home both together, walking through the gates to the home that we remembered, where we began as mates. He talked about his comrades, of their late night plans and dreams, as if those future musings would soothe their silent screams. I told him of I told him of my wife, who gave me my first son, whose warm and gentle body was replaced then by my gun. We laughed at our audacity, our belief that someone wins in a battlefield of darkness, in a garden bloomed with sin. Then suddenly before us, a large screen began to play the long and final hours of our last day away. It started in the morning, the warning siren sang, the enemy was nearing as the fear inside us rang. Smoke began to blind us to the battle being danced. Guns just fired wildly. In our blindness, we advanced. And there upon the screen, we witnessed our last sight. His was of my pleading, mine was of his fright. His weapon hit my heart as mine tore through his breath, and in that very instant, we met our human deaths. As our lifetime movie ended, we each turned to see the face of the man we once called enemy when we joined the human race. But in this place we now call home, there is no such term as other, for it took our deaths to recognize that he had always been my brother.
Mm. Oh, I got the chills. That's so beautiful.
Mm.
Wow. Ah,
So yeah,
wow.
I could see these men and just like, oh, you killed me and I killed you and we are brothers.
And you can see the resolution on the other side and the coming to terms and the lifting of ignorance. That's so beautiful, Devin. Thank you. So beautiful. And with that, y'all, as we're wrapping up the call, and if perhaps you want to close your eyes and feel one more time, and again, the special offer, we'll send the link out for it in an email. You can click on it now before we go one more time into the prayer.
Okay,
Um,
so it's a new Serenity Prayer.
the new Serenity Prayer. And Devin, as you end that, I'm just going to say goodbye now. Thank you so much. And I'll reach out to you for my session as well.
Perfect.
Yeah. And
Thank
thank you, everybody. Again, we're going to end with a prayer now, and we'll leave you.
you, everyone. Okay, so it's a new Serenity Prayer. God, grant me the serenity to love with all my heart the things I cannot change, the courage to love with all my heart the things I can, and the wisdom to know that to love with all my heart will always make a difference.
Beautiful, Devin. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank
Yeah.
you.
Blessings. Blessings, everybody. Have a great
Bye,
evening.
John. I love you. Thank you.
Love you too. Bye-bye.